Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome. My name is Charlotte. I work on growth at Anytype, and welcome again to today's demo call, whose theme is Anytype for creative professionals and hobbyists. And to say we're excited for today's demo would be a huge understatement. This is our very first time pairing up with our community to do a demo call, and it's a huge pleasure of mine to introduce three passionate and super talented Anytypers who will be presenting their spaces to us. So our first presenter, Daniel, is a high-energy physics researcher from Iran, who's also a self-described enthusiast and nerd. He'll be demoing his databases for movie and TV shows, as well as Formula One races and drivers. Our second presenter, Rick, is a mostly retired systems analyst and web developer who lives in Everett, Washington with his spouse, Larry, and their dog, Kiva. And he's developing a cosmic horror novel called Unclean with the use of a system he's developed in Anytype. This is his first novel. And our third presenter, Weston, is a web developer and musician in a band called Godboat. He'll be presenting his system for song catalog management. So, Daniel, would you like to start with sharing your databases for movies, TVs, and Formula One?
Yeah, sure. Very well. So, hello, everyone, to the community and the wonderful creators of Anytype. Let me start sharing my screen. Okay. Very well. So, nowadays, I think I have about 15 minutes, so I'm going to be quick. So, nowadays, all of us are sitting in front of our desks for so many hours doing our work, connecting with others. And one of the important aspects for me personally was that if you are going to do something, you might as well do it well and enjoy while doing it. So always aesthetics was a very important part of my setup. So funny enough, about a year and a half ago, I think, when I was first introduced to Anytype, I was dabbling around with Notion or Coda or something like that. And one of the things that persuaded me for Anytype in the first place was the potential of the aesthetics that I can create. But aside from this aesthetics that, for example, you can create for yourself, it's the functionality. For me, myself, I use Anytype for many reasons, for many of my day-to-day functionalities, like, for example, my research, my physics research, my application process, and also the things that I'm going to share today, my movie databases and the Formula One aspect. So the thing for me was that before all of that, before Anytype, for example, I watched movies. It's not something new, or I watched Formula One. But when I saw a video, when I saw a video or when I had some ideas about a movie, they were all in different parts of my life. For example, in my YouTube account, or just in my head, or the talks that I had with my friends and whatnot. I didn't have any means or tool to connect all of these, for example, for future access or for sharing at a later time. This is what I wanted to create with Anytype, and I'm enjoying it, aside from the fact that I'm sharing it with you. So we're going to go over a couple of databases. First off is my movie database. As you can see, it is a set. I'm going to go over the technical details and relations at the end, but as you can see, I've set it to gallery view, and some of the relations are shown. For example, the genre of any of these movies, a nice picture background from all of them, and some of the casts and crew of them. So I have a similar thing. This is my movie database, for example, the things that I watched and I wanted to make an entry for. And I have a similar thing for my TV shows also. I'm showing this all of you, and I'm going to go a little bit deeper into each one of them. This is, for example, my TV shows, again, all of them. And this is not just a pretty face. This is the all view, all of my TV shows. But I'm tracking of the things that I want to watch. For example, in near future. The same goes for my movies, and also a pretty simple grid view for. This is pretty simple, but the trailer I can, for example, turn on the IMDb rating, my rating, and all of that for each of them. My idea was that if when Anytype releases its API, I can automate most of these things. But for now, I'm entering it manually. So let's dive into one of them, for example. Let's start with one of my favorite movies, The Dark Knight. Okay, so first of all, again, from the first point I mentioned, I wanted it to look good for myself, for my taste. I have set one of the backgrounds, one of the famous backgrounds of this movie as its cover page. And also I created some custom icons for each of the movies and basically any of the objects that I have in my Anytype. Then you can see there's a short description of the movie, the genre, the tagline, if it has, and its status, and also its release date. All of them, I start all of them so that it can appear at all times at the top of the object. Then I took the liberty to use callouts in a slightly different fashions. I use different colors for each of them to display different information of the movie. For example, its personal rating and its various links through social media, its Rotten Tomato score, meta score, how it did at the box office, and its budget. And the good thing I have here is that, for example, because I use Arc, every time I think you can see, but every time I click on any of these links, it opens in a pop-up in my Arc browser. So all of this is one click away from any information that I want to access. Then I created this new part. I think I haven't shared in the community yet. This is a part that I mentioned some of the awards and nominations that, for example, some of these movies or persons have achieved. For example, one of the other sets that I have is a set of the awards I'm going to again show you later. But for example, The Dark Knight has these 2 Oscar wins for itself by these 2 individuals, talented individuals. Next, I put the studio here and the trailer for it. And here is, I used an inline set to showcase all of the cast and crew. Well, these are the actors of the movie, then the director, screenwriter, and the composer. It is a poster, and one of the things that I was mentioning earlier, these, for example, these bookmarks, these videos or articles were things that I was interested in, and I thought it was very best for me to have all in one place, for example, for a certain object, this Dark Knight. So these are some analyses, and all of them are bookmarks for this. This is a little review for myself, and some of the quotes that I think was brilliant for this movie. Again, I'm planning to use this later. For example, if we are living in the age of these large language models, so potentially after a couple of, I don't know, years or months, hopefully, we can integrate AI into this thing, and it can not only scan all of my data, all of my writings, all of the things that I put in here, but it also can generate, for example, recommendation for myself, or if I wanted to share with with others, for them as well. So, for example, let's go to the director of this whole thing here, Mr. Christopher Nolan. Again, this is, for example, a sample page for a director that I have. Again, a picture, some very short in a description of him, his role, his birthday, his various links, the movies that he has been working on and, for example, was nominated or has won awards for. And again, the movies that he has been working on as a director. Again, this is an inline set, or he has written his screenplay for it. And again, I've added an inline bookmark for the things for articles, or this is pretty slim, but articles and videos that that Christopher Nolan has appeared in, or I thought it was interesting. The next aspect for this picture I've again created, I don't want to just create any database. This is, for example, for best picture, and this is for the year for which, for example, Inception was nominated for best picture. Again, if we go here, this award ceremony, I've gathered some of them that was, for example, important for me. I wanted to have them. These are some of the years for the Academy Awards, and the same for Primetime Emmy Awards. For example, if I go to any of them, the information that I've added, for example, some of the videos, for example, best actress. Again, these are the potentials that you can create for your own too. And also, for example, best here, hopefully when we have some kind of additional functionalities with relations, I can do this with databases or sets or collections. But right now I'm just linking all of them together. So I have a different page for example, best actress or the year with all the categories. So that's my movie and TV show databases. And I think, yeah, we are not having much time. So let's go to my other showcase that I wanted to share today. And this is my Formula One. Again, it's a very simple set. This is a grid view. So I have collected, for example, some of the Grand Prix for this year's championship. The winner, some relations to some of the information for all of these. And if we, for example, go to one of them, let's go to Monaco, for example. Again, I've taken the liberty to, again, set a custom icon for everything and some background from the event. Some of the results that I've taken from the Twitter account of Formula One. And this is, again, part of the personalization that I wanted to have for myself. For example, a short review of the whole event, either qualifying or the race itself, and some of the bookmarks for this. For example, this little thing is a bookmark for a talented person on YouTube and Instagram called Lollipop Man, who has some brilliant sketches for all of the Grand Prix. So I've also added the, for example, Lollipop Man tag to this bookmark. So if we go over to my bookmarks set, I can filter only the Lollipop Man and all of his videos come up. Also, some of the qualifying highlights, driver's reaction, and also I use inline mentions pretty heavily, I think. For example, all of these drivers has their own page. For example, this is for Max Verstappen's page. Here's a little short biography of him. Here's, for example, some of the cars he has been driven throughout his career, and here's some of his recent wins. Again, I've used inline sets pretty heavily across my Anytype. And if we go, for example, one back, aside from the, for example, drivers that I have multiple pages for, multiple objects for, we also have different pages. For example, I have created a page for all of my Formula One cars. Again, some inline sets, some information that I wanted to have. And last but not least, some of the circuits. I've created also the circuits for each of these racetracks. So for example, this is Monaco. This is some information. This is the layout, a picture, and also the Grand Prix that I've had entry for. I think I have 2 minutes. So yeah, let me go back to I don't know, Charlotte, do you think it's a good idea to show the relations now, the templates, or should we do it in the Q&A session at the end of the meeting?
Let's see, we're at we can do if you want to show quickly, I think it would be helpful maybe for people to have an idea of how you've set it up. And then if anybody has questions specifically, then we can visit during Q&A.
Okay, so for example, if we go I don't know, to any of these, for example, Spider-Man, I can go into the type, and I've created a template for each of, for example, this movie. This is the blank template. This is what the blank templates look like. Again, all of the callouts, the inline sets that I can set filter, for example, these actors. Okay, this is all the relations that I have for example, movies. Who wrote the screenplay, who is the director, the soundtrack, who are the stars of that movie. These four are all from the object type of human that I filtered for. The next is the IMDb link and TMDB link. These are again URL type. Some of the ratings, these are just number relations. Again, some more links, the budget, which is again number, the status relation, which is of the type status. The poster that I use is, of course, from the relation type files and media. The studio, again, is an object type from studio and network. Cameos, again, are from object types, humans. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, this is all a little bit too much to take in just from my video recording, but yeah, when we can share showcases, I think people can get a bit more to understand all of this. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But it's
Thank you so much, Daniel. It was really your databases I felt were so lovingly made, and a lot of people here today were saying that, including myself, are all inspired by how beautiful your Anytype is, and I feel like I need to spend some time making mine more beautiful. So thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. Okay.
And next we have Rick, if you'd like to step in.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and start here. Okay, I put this together here to kind of demonstrate a little bit of why I built this system here. There's a lot of story structures out there, and each one, has different aspects that are required or suggested and things like that. And I chose one that I wanted to really work with, but I couldn't find any system that really used it as far as software goes. So the tools that I found out there were very generic. It didn't allow me to put in my own notes or have personalized help. I needed to store notes about my own stories and to have them quickly able to be entered wherever I was, and to track any type of information and to expand. So that's basically why I started this. Like Daniel said, I started basically in Notion, moved to Coda and Obsidian, and I've tried a lot of different things. I do like the aesthetic nature of Anytype, and but at the same time, it's kind of been a two-edged sword because I've spent so much time messing around with the aesthetics of it. I've changed the look and feel of this system about 3 times since I've started it. And so finally I decided, I'm just going to make this minimal and actually work with it instead of trying to keep it different look. So the sources that I'm using as far as story structure goes are 3. Scott Myers is the protagonist journey is the main one. And then Adam Skelter's Story by Numbers and Simple Storytelling by Aki Aslan are kind of subsidiary sources. And I use them because they kind of overlay on top of Myers's system there. So they all work really well together. And all three of these are more character focused instead of action focused there. So, you know, as Myers says, you start with a character, you end with a character, and you find the story in between. So everything in his system is developed around that protagonist. And you'll see a little bit farther here what I'm talking about. What Myers does is he breaks the story structure down into 4 sections, 4 acts. Each one is a different phase of the protagonist's personality. So the first act, which is about 25%, is the protagonist is in a state of disunity where you know, he's missing something. Think Luke Skywalker at the beginning of the Star Wars, where he's staring off into the sunset, you know, and wishing he was in the academy and stuff like that. So his life isn't working the way he wants it to. Then the second part, the next 25%, is a deconstruction phase where something has caused him to start questioning things and deconstructing his life. The third act, the next 25%, is reconstruction. And then the fourth act is kind of a unity where he finally becomes the person that he's supposed to be. And then Skelter and Aslan divide these acts into sequences into 2. And then they actually divide each sequence into 3 sections here. So these are called plot points. And the ones in red are milestones. So these are major scenes that you kind of want to hit. So like the first one here is kind of the hook, the thing that gets you interested in the story. The plot point 3 is the inciting event, what causes the protagonist to want to change. And then you've got plot point 6, which is the acceptance of the call, the decision to make a change. And then Act 2 is kind of starting into this new world and so on. So each of these plot points are where you want to kind of make sure that you're hitting. Next, the targets of this story is about 300 pages or 100,000 words. I've kind of broken that down to give me some targets. So, you know, that's about 25,000 words an act, 12,000 words a sequence, 4,000 words a plot point. And then as far as number of scenes goes, that I know that I write about 1,500 words per scene. So I divided that and come up, I need about 67 scenes total. And so that means each plot point, I need about 2 or 3 scenes. The custom types that I came up with in the system, you've got the main story entities, which is like characters. I've got 2 different templates for those, one for a major character and one's for minor characters. Then there's object relations of personality archetypes and story jobs, and those come from Aslan. Then you've got the scenes, which also has 2 templates. I have a main scene, and then I have what I call a scene fragment. And that's where, if, you know, all of a sudden I come up with an idea that I want to make sure I include, I can stick it in there as a scene fragment. And then later on, I can incorporate all the fragments into the main scenes. And then each of those have object relations to acts, plot points, milestones, horror beats, and locations. And then on the other side, we have research, which I have 9 different templates for. I have a journal, a brainstorming section, ideas and tasks. And what I've done actually is, or I recently combined the brainstorming and the ideas here. So those are combined. So as far as you can kind of see where I'm at here. So I have the characters, and then the personality archetypes and the story jobs both relate to those. And then as far as scenes goes, you know, all of these outer ones relate to the main scene type. So let's go into this. This is the main dashboard for this. I finally put the release date of 9/30 on this. I started using Anytype September 1st or around there. And, you know, so it took me about a month to come up with this here. So the divisions I've got are, this first section is all just for brainstorming. And so, you know, I've got a quote here by Myers from his book. And then I've divided things up based on sections that he uses. So this stuff is all kind of looking at the story from a top-down perspective. So like if you go into the Act 1, first off, I have all of my notes that I have from Myers, and I can collapse these if I need to. Then I also have Skelter's and Aslan's note descriptions below that. And again, you know, they're easily hidden when I don't need them. Below that, I show all of the different plot points that are found within this act, and I can pull up each one of those and take a look at it and, you know, kind of get ideas and brainstorm that way. Below that, I see all the milestones that are found in this act. I have a section for notes and ideas, questions that I've come up with myself, and some additional quotes. And then below that, I have an inline set of my scenes, and I can see all of the scenes that I've got currently assigned to Act 1, and I've got all the other scenes that are not Act 1. And the reason I do that was because I may decide I may want to move this one from Act 3 to Act 1 for some reason. And so I can easily switch back and forth. And so, like, what I will do here is, you know, I'll go over my notes, and, you know, all of a sudden I may decide, you know, I need to, it sparked something. And what I can do then is I can go in and add a scene fragment and say, you know, and this one is just a really brief summary section of what I want to include in this. This isn't enough for a full scene, but this is just, you know, something that may be incorporated in another scene. Whereas the main scene notes, you know, have a lot more information that I want to keep track of. And so these order numbers here, I can, you know, the Act 1 scenes are any number between 1000 and 1999. So, you know, if I want to say I want to put this in between these two, I can just go in and, you know, put it in there, and that way I can see the chronological order of my story and all these things. So I have one of those for each of the acts. Then there's, again, because this is character focused, you know, Myers says that any external event needs to have some kind of internal change on the character. So this is a way that I can start brainstorming external events and then how that's going to affect the character. And so I can just create these. And again, I have a table down here of all my scenes, so that as I brainstorm new ideas here, I can throw these ideas right into the scene table. Then we get into the different character types. Myers has 5. So, you know, each one of these talks about a different character type. And then again, there's an inline set showing all of the characters that are that type, and then all the others. And so that's for all of those. Myers talks about subplots. His subplots are all about relations again. So every relationship between two characters he classifies as a subplot. So you can kind of map those out over the story and then figure out where you want them to appear scene-wise. Then he has a full section here called Breaking Story, which again is basically but just questions. And you know, so all this stuff is just a way to brainstorm the story. Then story by numbers and simple storytelling, and another source I'm using here. I've got each of those too. So I'm not going to end up using all of this stuff, I don't think, but the material is here readily available for me to go in and possibly, if I get stuck at a certain spot, I can you know, look at these things and come up with ideas. Then below that, we have the actual story entities themselves. So we've got characters, and you know, I've got basically different views here. So you know, these are by name, by type, by class. The character map is the 5 different types that Myers has. And I can move, you know, characters back and forth if I decide to change my mind about how those are set up. Yeah, so I really like this view part within the sets here. I mean, that was one of the main selling points that Anytype had for me, was being able to include all this stuff so easily. Let me go back here. I have 2 different templates within Anytype, or within the character type here. The main character has a lot of information because I really want to get to know these main characters. So I have a section about, you know, establishing your identity. And one of the things I didn't want to do, a lot of story methods will, you know, ask you 200 questions of what's your character's favorite food, or you know, what time do they go to bed, and stuff like that. And it really gets kind of tedious, and it really doesn't help the story a whole lot. So the ones I've come up with are much broader categories, you know, what their defining beliefs are, how their identity affects their appearance, you know, the goals, motivations, and conflicts, personality traits, backstory. Have kind of a little mini personality test of how they view the world. Any requirements, you know, if I need a character that needs to drive a boat, I need to make sure that requirement is explained somewhere in the story. Any, you know, if they need to be a certain weight or a certain size, you know, I need to make sure I have that, and whatever skills and talents they need. Then how they perceive themselves. So again, this is really digging into their personality, and I'm really trying to understand who that person is. And then this last thing is a empathy map. So it's you know, what does this current character hear in their head on a daily basis? You know, not you know, why do I have to be a parent to my kids and my husband? Or when did I start wearing mom jeans? You know, that kind of thing. How do they feel on a daily basis? What do they do on a daily basis? Say, feel, think. Then there's a spot for ideas, additional images, and then there's every scene that this character will appear in. so I can track that person throughout the entire story. And then the minor characters have a lot less information. They have the same stuff at the top here, but the identities stuff is just really minor. So because I don't need to know as much about them as I need to. Locations, those are pretty much just a free-form place to allow me to get as detailed as I need to. Again, I have a section that has every scene that location is in, and then pictures of where I'm imagining this location looks like. And the actual scenes, this again is really what we've seen before. I have my targets up here, so I know altogether I need about 67 scenes, so I can keep track of that and kind of gauge where I'm at, and then I can filter, you know, by the different acts. Other things here, John Truby is another major writer, storyteller. He has a book on genres, and so he breaks each genre down into beats. These are his horror story beats. And so what he's done is he's kind of designed these beats based on the majority of horror movies and what they all have in common. And so those are there for me to reference if I need to, and see where, if I'm hitting, you know, different things. The milestone table, again, I have notes from Myers and another guy named Miller, and then a place for notes, again, and the scenes. So you know, there's a lot of redundancy in this system, it seems like, but at the same time, I can go anywhere, and as soon as an idea hits me, I can go down here and add it to the scene table based on those notes.
Great. Thank you so much, Rick. I feel like it's my very first time seeing almost like the internal kitchen of how a novel is written. So it was so excited to see this demo. And I hope you will let us know when your novel is published, so we can also see the final outcome of all of this work. Thank you.
Okay, sorry.
And our last presenter then is Weston, who will talk us through his database for song catalog management. Hi, Weston.
Hi, everyone. Okay, so one second. How's it going? It's so early for me here. I'm really tired, so. Okay. So here is my Anytype song catalog. Before Anytype, I used to use a spreadsheet, and I don't know, probably like a lot of people before they use like PKMs, probably use spreadsheets and encounter the same problems. It's not really like you can't get to different things, like so how I have my song set up. All these items in the gallery are the songs, and I wanted the songs to be like containers. So if we'll go inside this one song, this is just like an example song, Shape of You by Ed Sheeran. I didn't want to like show my own lyrics here. So basically I have an image for like inspiration or like something symbolic to the song title, short description of the song, and here is where I'll put like lyrics, notes, more inspiration, like the Ableton set, which is what I use, the DAW. And then this is like the most important part, the relations. So it's like type of song. And then let's go into the relations. There's not that much going on here, but let's see. So here's the description. I have the BPM. This is so when I'm creating a live set in Ableton for a performance, I know what BPM the song is, so that
Sorry, Weston, I think you're zoomed in a little bit. Is it only? Okay, there we go. Yes, I
Oh,
think
yeah?
now we can see the relations panel.
Oh,
Yeah,
weird.
no, everything's perfect. Go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, the BPM for when I have to set it in the DAW, the location of the project on my actual computer, so I could just copy this path and go directly to the file in Explorer. This is some more notes, just like, oh, change this, change that, whatever. Here this is pretty cool. This is the key, again, for when I need to set the key in the DAW. I can check what it is here. I just have all the major keys because, you know, there's like a lot of keys. So if it's a minor key, I just do the relative major. That makes it easy. That way I don't have to put like a bunch of objects in there. And here's where I rate the song, where it's like nothing, bad, whatever that is, great, or award-winning song. Here I have the state of the song, whether it's just an idea, or it's more fleshed out into a loop. And then when it has structure, it's like an entire song. And then what is most common is a track that needs vocals, because that's the thing that takes the longest for me, when it's ready to be released. And then once it's released, it's done. I said it is released and it's good to go. The project section is kind of weird. There's like a weird bug where it's not showing the projects that I've set. It's showing a different object there. This is like work stuff. It shouldn't be showing up there. Okay, but yeah, that's like pretty much the system. And I use it, you know, across all these songs. These are just the songs that I'm working on to be released, so we could like look at just like a real one, see like this needs vocals. They're all probably like needs vocals. And then so like this is like the weird project bug where this is one of the things that should be showing, like the name, like grouped by release. So here we could see like this EDM release. These are like the tracks that would be on that, and this is like a different one. And that's what is really good about Anytype. Like I could be working on multiple releases and be like, oh, how far am I on this one release? And I could go to this view and check like, okay, so I have 6 songs for this release. All of them need vocals. One of them is still like in the writing phase. So that's really cool. And then we can look at this view. This is kind of really crazy and funny. So here we can see like all the keys that I have, and then like, oh, what songs do I have that are in like E major? And then we see there's like 2 of them. And then C major is like, oh, I have too many songs in C major, so like maybe don't use that as much in the future. And then I could see like, oh, weird, I have no songs in F major. That'd be cool to make one in F major. And then I could see by release, like these are all the songs within that release. And it's cool how they connect to the keys. So the key set is just kind of like a reference where I can just see like, oh, what's in like F major. If like a song is in that key and I need to like prepare for playing that, I can like double check what notes that is. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Pretty short. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Weston. That was so cool, especially the part where you showed your graph and how you use it to understand the distribution of songs in your album and in different keys. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
There
no
was a
problem.
question from the chat that was asking each presenter to show your graphs, actually, if you're comfortable with it. So Weston already showed his, and if Rick and Daniel, if you'd like to show yours as well, I think it might be appreciated.
Sure. Let me share my screen again. Okay, so I think it takes a while to load, but okay, so yeah, this is my graph. As you can see, there's a lot of stuff in it. Basically, these red and pink part are most of the hobbies. For example, this is the movie database that we talked about, all the people here. And hopefully in the future, when we have some sort of personalized graph or something like that, local graph view, we can see only the parts that are, for example, important for each and every one of objects. So yeah, these are the movie parts, the movie TV show. This is for my physics research, the papers, the notes that I've been taking, the lecture notes and all of that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The Formula One is, I think, somewhere in there. I can find it. It's yeah. Oh yeah, this is here. For example, this is the Alpine F1 team. Yeah, but I think it's very crowded for anyone to understand basically things from it.
Amazing. Thank you.
Mine, again, mine hasn't been populated yet with a lot of data, but you can kind of see where it's at right now. So this is just how the different acts and midpoints and all that stuff come together. So once I get scenes and locations and characters in there, you know, then there'll be a lot more connections there. So
Awesome. Thank you. And I know we're right at time, but if anybody has any questions for our presenters or anything about anything that you saw today, I think now is a great moment to ask. Okay, then if nothing more, I'd like to thank again our presenters today. It was so much fun. I had a blast seeing how you're using Anytype and learning the systems that you use to manage your hobbies and passions and work. So thank you again for sharing with us. I hope that, and I believe that everybody here got a lot of value out of the presentations. And yeah, can't wait to see how these projects evolve.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I hope, yeah, we can have more of these sessions so we can collaborate with the community on all of these showcases.
Absolutely. Thanks, Daniel.
And I hope we will soon release ability to have shareable spaces and have gallery of templates and use cases so that others can more easily learn so everyone can learn from each use and share and be closer to the vision of collaborative.
Yes, I'm sure there will be high demand for some of the templates that you've all created because they're so beautiful. So once this project is a bit more polished, then I'll definitely be reaching out to see if you'd like to share some templates for others to use. And I think that's all from me today. Thank you, everybody who joined us as well. It was a pleasure seeing you and hope to see you around our community soon.